Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and here I ramble with articulation, I hope, about the music, audio and visual of a variety of different videos that I watch. And today we are coming back to Mr. Geoff Castellucci and looking at his cover of Chris Isaak's Wicked Game. This one... so many people, to be fair, so many people tell me to watch every Geoff video, but I feel like the influx was particularly high for this one, and I thought this would be a fun one to cover. I know Unshaken came out recently. I know that's supposed to be amazing as well. I will get to it, I promise. But I wanted to look at this because this is a song I've sort of been passingly familiar with. I've liked it on and off for a long time. I think it's a really great piece of music. It's just not always the vibe that I'm in the mood for, but it's quite extraordinary. It was released by Chris Isaak in '89, and it didn't really immediately take off. But then David Lynch put it in Wild at Heart, which was a 1990 movie, and then the radios picked up on it and started playing it, and all of a sudden it skyrocketed. It became number 2 on the Billboard Alternative Airplay. It was number 6 on the Hot 100. It was number 1 in Belgium. It did exceptionally well, and it crept out of this movie. That I think originally somebody who loved David Lynch movies started playing it, and poof! All of a sudden, you know, that was what it needed. It just needed that kick. I first heard the song originally. I heard the cover by Him, the Finnish band Him. And I did eventually see the Lynch movie as well, so I heard it in context. It's a film with Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern. But it wasn't. I didn't sort of really listen to it as the Chris Isaak version until a little while after that. And it just struck me as just being a brilliant song. The amount of emotional range in it is extraordinary. Isaac's voice is fantastic. And yeah, I think this is going to be really interesting to see what Geoff does with this. So yeah, we'll jump in. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. If it is, the way this works, I'm going to watch this straight through from beginning to end. I will be commenting and emoting over the top, but I won't stop the video. Then I'll go back again, watch it a second time, and this time pause, interrupt, and offer what commentary and analysis I feel I can based on what I've just seen and heard, and the foreknowledge of having watched it once before. Please do like the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and if you care to donate to support the channel, you can do so in 3 ways. You can leave a super thanks right here on YouTube, or you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, where you can make a one-off donation, or head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/DavidKReacts, where you can sign up for $2 Canadian per month, and that gives you just basically a means to support me in an ongoing basis, but also you get to join my Discord channel, and there's already some very cool folks in there, so please do any of those if you would like to, but no pressure. And that's everything, I think. So I'm just going to jump in because I'm excited for this one. So without any further delay, here is Geoff Castellucci's cover of Chris Isaak's Wicked Game.
The world was on fire and no one could save me but you.
Oh, wow, that kicks.
Strange what desire will make foolish people do. And I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you.
Whoa.
And I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you.
He just resonates through the screen. That voice.
I don't wanna fall in love
Wow.
with you.
Kind of goes with the way that Isaak sings it. I'll talk about that later.
With you.
I love his accompaniment too. Ooh.
What a wicked game.
Oh, interesting choice.
To make me feel this way. What a wicked thing to do. To let me dream of you.
Oh, I love what he's done with the arrangement.
What a wicked thing to say. You never felt this way. What
Damn,
a
Geoff.
wicked thing to do. To make me dream of you. No, I don't wanna fall in love.
Oh, this man knows how to sing a song.
No, I
Woo.
don't wanna fall
Oh, yes. Ooh. Oh, I love that.
The world was on fire.
That's great.
No one could save me but you. Strange what desire will make foolish people do. I never dreamed that I'd love somebody
Ooh.
like you.
Oh, interesting. He's playing so much with texture now.
Somebody like you. No,
Oh.
I don't wanna fall in love.
There's some really cool choices in this I'll talk about in a bit.
No, I don't wanna fall in love. No,
Woo!
I don't wanna fall in love.
Okay. I'm here for it.
No, I don't wanna fall in love.
Oh, that's nice.
No, I don't wanna fall in love with you.
Oh. This is excellent.
Nobody loves no one.
Oh. Yes.
Hey y'all, Geoff here. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching and subscribing. Y'all are the absolute best. Speaking of best, huge shout out to everyone over at Patreon who make these videos possible.
Of course.
But especially Huldra Draco, Mythos Smiths, Temma Krempley, Helen Anderson, Diane Holland, Sarah O, Lori Templeman, Laura Mueller, Debbie Goodling, Jordy S, A.M. Person, Angie Woolard, Carl and Melanie Thomas, Asa M. Lagnestall and Dorothy Brune, and Debs Badger. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon.
Oh, there's the artwork. Oh, that's cool. Damn. Wow, Geoff. That's extraordinary. I love what he did with that. There's some really cool things in there. I think the way he honors, to a certain extent, the way that Chris Isaak's performance goes, but also makes it his own. Like, he's really struck a nice balance with there. So he sort of varies where he sits on that scale of unique to, recognizing the original. And I think he's struck a really, really nice middle ground with this one. That's fantastic. Also, my goodness, it's not often you get that much bass Geoff in a solo video in this way. And it's really, really powerful and quite hypnotic. I mean, bass Geoff is always hypnotic, but there's something about this that's just kind of, it draws you in so much. There's an enticing quality to, it's almost like a secrecy to the way that he's performed that. Let's go back and watch this. There's so much to say about this. I love. And I'm not even going to hit play. I'm going to start talking right now because he's done kind of what he did in High and Dry here with contrast. But I feel like he turned it up from where it was in High and Dry. This idea that everything around him, other than the piano and the window frame and a couple of little bits here and there, is white. And then he's wearing the black shirt. He's got the dark wood of the piano, the window frame. Like, framing is really interesting here. And I mean that both from how the camera frames him and his aspect in the performance, but also how frames are used in the set, and we'll talk about that as we go on. But I think the use of contrast here, the use of the stark white all around him, and then the center, it's like it's the reverse of a spotlight. It's like, you can't say blacklight because there is such a thing as a blacklight, but it's like if blacklight were different. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know quite what I'm trying to say, but it's really, really smart usage of light. That's all I'm saying. I'm just going to slightly quieter than usual. I'm just going to move that. I had to rearrange my setup briefly, and of course, nothing's gone quite back to normal. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Let's go again.
The world was on fire and no one could save me but you.
Okay, so a couple of things. Angie and I, when we did our joint reaction for the anniversary video of my channel, commented on the fact that he has this habit of bringing in sounds to bridge sounds together, and he does that right here.
Fire and no one could save me but
Save me, but. Me, but. The M that bridges there. Me, but you. Is a very. It's a stop. It's called a stop. That's actually the name for that part of language construction, because there's a it physically stops the air for a second to pronounce that the consonant. And he kind of almost completely bridges that by adding that beforehand, and it gives such a smooth flow to the song, and I think it's a great choice for this. What I was talking about, straight away you get it, this sort of recognizing how Isaak performed the song, is he's doing, there's a, I don't want to say de-energized, because he has energy in his voice, but it's a laid-back approach to how he's performing. And it's not like the Chris Isaak song, it's never "the world was on fire." It's not that, there's no kind of like big, brash sound. The world was on fire. It's all very reserved. Reserved is a good word. Everything about this, for the most part, there's a couple of moments where he brings it up with some of the layering that he does, but it's very reserved, it's very small, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's such a good choice, because it does honor that Chris Isaak performance, but he makes it his own in the way that he achieves it. And I love the simplicity of this piano part that he's got going on here. It does everything it needs to do with just a few chords. You don't need more than that. And it's a great choice, the way that he brings this in, just very gently. And he set the vibe straight off the bat. This is the vibe for almost the entire song. Fantastic work.
the world was on fire and no one could save me but you.
I saw a fascinating breakdown, actually, and I think this really applies to this song in particular, where somebody was breaking down the number of steps that the beats in the bar take, the melody takes in its motion, and the number of times that the harmony, the core harmony, changes. And I think it's so interesting because in that whole section, the core harmony changes 3 times, right? There are 3 chords on there. And then there's there's 16 beats. Yeah, it's 4 bars of 4 until the beginning of the next verse. And yet, melodically, we have "the world was on fire and nobody ba 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 ba." We have 13 notes, and they actually don't even change that much because the last 2 notes are the same. So we have this interesting blend where the harmony is changing so slowly compared to the pace of the music above it. And it's really, really effective. I mean, you don't want harmony to change faster than the music. That would be strange. But he's taking it particularly gently to start with, and I really do think it's a great move. Kind of repeating my point, but with a different perspective on it, I think.
No one could save me but you.
Oh, and just that coming in at the end there so gently. Immediate introduction of additional instrumentation, but in a way that is so off to one side you could almost miss it. Really, really great, because you have that, it's such a subtle hint, but it's foreshadowing of the additional instrumentation to come later, so it's the perfect setup.
Strange what desire will make foolish people do.
So gentle on the piano keys. Like, a couple of those notes barely even sounded. Really, really nice control on the piano at that point. And I love what the camera does there. It cuts to his fingers on the piano for the most motion the piano has had to this point, right?
Change what desire will make foolish people do.
Same again, it's those 3 chords, and then he has this da-da-da, and we focus on the piano for that moment. That's a really, really nice edit, because it gives it. This is the moment where the piano is stepping out. It's doing something different that it hasn't done yet in the video. I know, yes, we're only 16 seconds in, but it's a great moment to cut, and that is really sharp editing.
Make foolish people do. And I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you.
Oh, that is so good again, that introduction of the additional instrumentation, that kind of, it's almost like a violin being bowed loose, or a cello being bowed loose, so that the bow is kind of bouncing off the strings as it goes, and it's not quite connecting. I'm not sure 100% what the sound is, but it's really, really effective, because it creeps in the back. It sounds unsure. It sounds incomplete. And I think that's a really great motion to have at the beginning of this thing. I also really love how much, at this point in time, he has never sung higher than the piano notes. It's not every day you get to say that you're playing the piano above every single note that is being sung without being, up the tinkly end. But he's not up the tinkly end. He's playing it slightly lower than the middle, and he's still singing underneath it. Great stuff. But I really, really like what he's doing with this.
Like you. And I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you.
And here, this is the first shot, I think, where I noticed the framing. Notice how almost perfectly he is framed by this. It looks like it's like a work table that flips and rotates, right? Because you can see the handles there, or it's a backing screen. I'm not sure which. But how almost perfectly he is framed by that behind him. It's on an angle, but it's painted completely white. And if it weren't for the fact that we can see on this side over here... Is my cursor on screen? Oh yeah, you just can't see it on the white. But here you see the wood. If it wasn't for that, you could be forgiven for thinking this was flat on. But it's just, it blends into the background and he's still standing out from it. But because there is something there, it is adding layers. As he adds layers to the music, we visually add layers to what we're actually seeing in the video. That is genius.
Never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I don't wanna fall in love with
Oh, that ringing note just hanging on there. And am I getting a re-attack?
fall in love with you.
There's a little bit of re-attack. Very slight, but I think there's a little bit of re-attack in there, and that's really, really interesting, because it's giving a pulse. There's no percussion yet in this thing. We've had some sounds, yes, but there's no percussion, but there is a pulse. Even though it's so in the background. The subtleties in this arrangement are fantastic. Also, I feel like this is probably a photography studio. Just going on the grounds that we have this curved wall on the right-hand side there. I'm not sure why else one would have that. I feel like that's leaning into the photography studio thing. No idea. But it makes sense that you'd be able to get this great contrast in there. And I love here, this is so fascinating to me as well. The left side of this shot now is almost quite busy for this video. Because all of a sudden we see all this window frame. We see some streaks on the window or the blinds or whatever it happens to be there, I can't tell. And you see the edge of that, the same frame that was behind him before. He's now misframed completely. He's cutting the window frame. He's not bracketed on either side. And on the other side, we have this almost completely white wall. We can see the corner. We can see the curvature at the front. It's such a different shot from the one we saw a second ago while he's singing No, I Don't Want to Fall in Love. We've got this broken look almost. It's such a fascinating shift how he's moving around, or how the camera is moving around him in the space.
No, I don't wanna fall in love with you.
Oh, this is so good. The motion in the piano there, it's more consistent motion than we've had in the entire song so far. You think so often in songs you get like a guitar strum or something and you get that and it just goes. And it carries on and you get that pattern established, but there's been so little of that now when we get it in the break, it's so much more potent. I really like that. Oh. Here again, fascinating framing. Fascinating framing. He is against white. Once again, we have this stark white on the left, which is obviously, that's the wall. That's where that curve is. The window is off shot now, because that space in the room is quite far back. And I love that he hasn't set the piano in that room. He set it in front of the room, which means we get these powerfully contrasting shots where now we have the white, the pure white that he is framed against for the most part. We have the piano, the top of it, where his hands are, set against this off-white wall with the interruption of the cables and the, looks like an internet box or something like that you've got there. And then the rest of it set against this brown flagstone floor. The variety between the three textures of background that we've got going on here is fascinating. And now we're back to the frame again. And now it's off. Now we've gone off the other way. Such amazing use of so little. But now again, he's breaking the other frame. He broke the window frame before by having his head, you know, going behind his head. Now he's breaking the edge of this frame. The disparity that we're getting from shot to shot of this is framing Geoff, this is framing absolutely not Geoff, is fantastic. Excuse me. And you don't notice how many little bits of instrumentation have joined in until it all falls away. Oh, it's so good, the way everything crept in while he was going along, and then we have that moment where it cuts, and we don't get quite complete silence. We get that really low bass. Boom. Right down in the bottom there. What's Geoff? Geoff's a low bass. So it makes sense that the break is filled with a low bass, but this is a different quality of low bass. It's a rumble. It's that kind of almost feedback of bass. Not like Geoff, where you can hear enunciation and words. Excuse me. Sorry. Bit of dust in my throat or something. Not like Geoff, where you can hear the quality, you can hear the enunciation and the reverberance in his voice. It's just that, it's like a creak almost, but it's just like speaker sound. So effective as like not quite dead air. We're not quite letting that go yet.
What a wicked game you play to make me feel this way.
I love his choice of percussion in this because it just serves everything I've been saying about subtlety and reservedness. He doesn't have a hi-hat that he's got that it's like an egg shaker, but it's like an egg shaker in an oven glove. It's got that muffled feel to it, and then just the no, I don't have a click today. No, it's gone. Wow, I'm just failing. But the stick shot on the side of the snare type sound, but it's not a crack type thing. It's just it's the little click. It's so subtle, and it's just the perfect percussion choice for what he's doing with this arrangement. Anything more than that, it would stand out too much. But as it is, it merges in. I think that's what's so interesting. So a lot of the arrangements I cover on this channel, it's like I talk about elements that stand out. Here, there's almost nothing that does. I mean, yes, Geoff, obviously, but even when he's singing, he's more in the mix than usual, or at least it feels that way to me.
To make me feel this way. What a wicked thing to do. To let me dream of you.
Oh, and the fall off there, you get the little piano and bum, 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 the little piano embellishment there, and the rattle. I'm not sure. It sounds, again, it sounds like it could be a vibra-slap. If I think about it, I'll put a picture of one of those up here so that you know I'm not just making words up. But muffled again. I don't know what they've done, or maybe it's a rain stick, but being tilted very slightly so you don't get the full crashing sound of it. I don't know what sound he's used to achieve that, but it's such a great, like, muffled in the mix blend once again, and that's quite a high frequency that's happening in that instrument there, and it could stand out too much because there aren't many high frequencies in this arrangement, but because of how it's been mixed in, it doesn't. Great stuff.
Dream of you. What a wicked thing to say.
Yeah, it's not a vibra-slap. Never mind, ignore me. I still don't know what it was, but...
What a wicked thing to say. You never felt this way.
What a choice to go up, right? From there, his traditional fall off at the bottom. And then he comes in on what a wicked thing to say, where it's gone from being, you know, what a wicked game. Now this is a direct, what a wicked thing to say. And so up we go, up the register. And it brings it out that little bit more. Great choice.
You never felt this way.
Way. That little addendum. It's so lovely. I love the little touches, just changing it up a little bit each time.
What a wicked thing to do. To make me dream of you.
I also love where he has placed the register of the piano. Because, as I was saying, you know, it is above him, but it's also close to him, so we're not widening the range too much. But it's also in that area where you're going to be verging on, not quite close enough to, because we're not getting that overblown sound, but you're going to be closer to the resonant frequency of the room, especially because it's a box. Right, yes, it's a little bit broken up, but the whole thing with sound is it goes away from its source, bounces off the first thing it hits, and, you know, it acts like light in that sense. It'll bounce off and come back again. And a cube is the worst possible resonance thing, because, especially a wooden cube, because if you're in the center of a wooden cube, everything is coming crashing back at you. But what you can find a little bit more easily is the resonant frequency of a space, I think. I'm not quoting physics here, I'm quoting my experience of having played pianos in a very wide variety of different spaces. And it's that kind of down there in that range where you're kind of on the sort of around the F2, F sharp 2. I don't know what key this is in, I don't have a piano to hand. But in that area where you play that sort of the tonic at the bottom and then the fifth above it, so if you're, let's stick with F, the C above it, and then the A above that, you get this really, really rich sound out of a piano, and it feels to me like he's playing in that kind of a range. And it's just giving this really rich quality to the piano sound that even though he's not doing a crazy amount with it, yes, it's moving, but it's not moving a lot, and he's not jumping octaves or running up scales, things like that, it feels full. It feels engaged with the piece, and I really, really like what he's done with the arrangement.
I don't wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you.
Again, that broken, like, misbowed string sound. It's kind of, it grates slightly, but in a good way. It kind of it keeps the tension of the song alive. There's a little bit of a bite there that isn't in the piano. It's not in his voice, but it's coming in some of the background instrumentation he's using. The sudden introduction of harmony at that point in time, vocal harmony, so unexpected. He set this whole thing up not to have that, especially because he's missing the backing vocal, or not missing, he's chosen not to include the backing vocal, right? Because it's, I can't remember exactly where it comes, but it's, I don't want to fall in love. And isn't it something like the world is never going to love you or something? I can't remember the line, but there's that sort of almost whispered female vocal that's in call and response with a couple of Isaak's lines in the original. He doesn't have that. So you're kind of set up not to expect multiple harmonies in the vocals. And then boom, out of nowhere on With You, on a repetition of With You, in comes this vocal harmony. And even though it's still quiet, it's still reserved. It feels like someone's just hit every cymbal on the drum kit because it wasn't there before and now it is. Wow. And I love what he does with the melody. There we go. Going up. Bringing it up into the harmony. He sinks away from the harmony on the... Sinks away from the harmony. Comes way up to join the harmony. Really, really nice.
The world was on fire and no one could save me but you.
Ooh.
On fire and no one could save me but you.
I can't decide if that's a deliberate percussive effect or if there's something else I'm hearing, but...
Was on fire and no one could save me but you.
Ba-boom. No one could save me. Ba-boom. You. As he says ba of but, and then there's a boom. Very quietly in the background. I can't quite figure out if that's like an effect of the piano or something like that. I don't know what it would be, but it's so slight.
On fire and no one could save me but you. Strange what desire will make foolish people do.
The introduction again, that second time of that electronic sound. It's just a little extra, but the difference between...
No one could save me. Make foolish people.
It's so much of a fuller sound, and it's almost very faintly dissonant.
Strange what desire will make foolish people do.
It almost creeps into microtones for a second, and then comes back into place for do. And then we come in with him way down the bottom, but with this lovely vocal harmony over the top. And now the arrangement's about as wide as it gets, but it's such a lovely moment to do it. I have to say, for my personal taste, the one thing in this video I don't like is that crash to black. I know entirely why it's there. I understand the logic. To my taste, doesn't do it for me. I think I would rather that we'd had a sudden, where it cuts back in, I'd rather we'd left the camera shot lingering, maybe even panning away, and then suddenly snapped to a new angle. I don't like the black. I think because it's the only time it happens in the whole song, I get the effect. Doesn't do it for me. But that half second of silence, that's powerful because we don't even have the this time around. It's silence. Leastways, I think it is. Is it just so short I'm not picking up on it? No, it's actual silence this time. And then we come in with the widest part of the vocal arrangement we've had yet. Until he comes back up on you, you could be forgiven for thinking Geoff wasn't singing notes at that point. Prime Geoff. It could be just him just going, I never felt that I, blah, blah, whatever the words are. Atonally, and then he comes back up. He's not. You can just hear the notes, but you could be forgiven for thinking not, because the effect of that depth against his own upper harmonic balance is fascinating.
Dream that I love
Oh, and the richness of that chord on You. And I love that we just have this pulse of the bass drum sound that we've got going on here. It is such an effective sound to have, just boom, boom. And it's really stunned. It doesn't carry on. It stops very, very quickly. And this time we get the boom. But it's not from Geoff. It's from that bass instrument again. Lovely stuff. And that time you get a little bit more melodic climbing going on. There's just a bit more of a climb that time. He joins that upper harmony a little bit earlier on. Really, really nice stuff. The way he's constructed this arrangement is great. It's amazing that he stays down so low at a point that is sort of unusual to listen to, and keeps it so effective for so long without it in any way seeming strange. That's really, really powerful stuff. And now we just have that same piano from the beginning, but with the boom, boom, and just that presence. It makes it feel different. Before, it was just drifting. The piano would just ring on, and Geoff would come back in when Geoff came back. I mean, he'd come back in on time, but because there was nothing there emphasizing that pulse like that, it felt a little bit more casual. Now there's a point, there's a beat to it. And even though it's very few and far between, it has to be adhered to because it's there.
Wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love. No,
That's incredible too. The way that he layers the entry of so many different instruments, only to go as high as we've heard him yet in this song in the vocals immediately afterwards. That's brilliant stuff. We got that kind of it almost sounds like rustling paper kind of in terms of the sound quality we got going on there. Then the reverse cymbal starts up. Then you get the boom, and as it goes down, he's prepping to go up. And then it stuns right off. And then you get that beautiful. Not only is he up, he's now harmonizing with himself at that register. The construction of this is so well thought out. And I think it's 3 Geoffs there, just that long extended note, and then we go into that pattern of sort of almost, it's almost, I guess it's a riff as far as there is a riff in this song. It's magical. And all of this is earned because he's been crawling towards it the whole way through the song. And now we're here and he gets to have his fun. It's, so good. And it's such, he cuts that one off really fast. With you. Off. It's gone. And then it's just the piano and the drums now the full involved groove, that full pattern that they hit. And the piano quite busy. Like, this is the instruments moment again. We cut back to the piano again. Lovely choice. But a lot happens in this gap compared to what was happening in the same length of gap at the beginning of the song. And now what's so interesting is the piano is keeping quite busy, whereas the vocal, the three Geoffs, or however many it is right there, did those. Remember I talked about the 3 harmonic steps that were taken at the beginning of the song? That was them right there. Those 3 chords that Geoff just sang. It's exactly the same motion the harmony was making at the beginning of the song, but now it's shifted to the vocals. Amazing stuff.
Nobody loves no one.
Ah, that chord to finish on too. It's unexpected. I was expecting him to sing something else. I know that's the end of the song, but I was expecting something else to come because he leaves it on that sort of open sounding chord. Really interesting. And the sound texture that he has for this ending. He's got, it's like a tenth or something he's singing between the melody that like Prime Geoff is singing and that upper harmony. It's a big space, and yet the motion is the same, and so they're moving together, and it's kind of creating the vocal version. It's this piano vocal swap again. It's creating the vocal version of that piano chord I was describing earlier, where I was saying he's in a lovely resonant space in the space. He's now doing that vocally. That same structure, but it's transferred across.
Nobody loves no one.
And how fascinating that as he finishes singing that final no one, he's framed, right? Then we move to this off frame. Then we move to this off frame. And then we cut to black. So there's all this great framing in terms of set framing behind him. The framing in the camera is immaculate. But there's that set framing behind him, and yet we move away from it at the last moment, leaving that thought open. Oh, that is wonderful. Geoff, you nailed that. Thank you. What a fantastic arrangement. I realized I didn't actually check the doohickeys, the description. Is there any information? I never thought I'd actually record this song, but here I am doing it. Never say never, I suppose. And also never say always. Both are pretty much never right and always wrong. Wait a minute. Nice. What have we got? All the things by Geoff, production manager Kathy, mixed by Ed. Yep, absolutely everything I would expect. Wicked Game was originally recorded and released by Chris Isaak in 1989. I was 9 years old at the time and really didn't understand the music video, but now I realise that Chris and Helena must have been very cold. Right, because it's them on a beach, basically naked for the majority of the video, isn't it? I remember seeing that one a long time ago. Oh, that's funny. I do enjoy Geoff's sense of humour. That is brilliant. Thank you, Geoff. That is another astonishing arrangement. Bravo. And thank you very much for joining me for this one. I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it, be it the song, be it Geoff Castellucci. Check him out. He's amazing. I've done it again. I keep forgetting. Down the bottom is a link to the original video. Really? Did I forget you too? I did, didn't I? All right. Last minute Timmy visit. Say hello to all of your fans. He just shook his head, didn't he? Hello, Fuzz. Yeah, or maybe you've heard this 100 times, and I just brought something to your attention you hadn't seen before, and I hope that's the case, because that's the kind of thing I love doing. That's why I love doing this channel, is just bringing new music, or new ways of looking at it, or new ways of looking at the video, or how the video integrates with the music. That's kind of what I'm looking at, and I hope to share with you as well. So yes, especially if you're still here at the end, thank you. Please do like the video, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and again, if you'd care to donate, no pressure, but if you would like to, please do head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts or patreon.com/DavidKReacts, or leave a super thanks here on YouTube. Any of those very gratefully appreciated. That's it for this one. I will be back next week with more stuff. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful morning, afternoon, nighttime, evening, tea time, second breakfast. I don't know, 9:43 a.m. Whatever time you happen to be watching this. Take care. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.